What is up, guys? It's me, Zachary, and welcome back to the show. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. And there wasn't many games that went on in the NBA yesterday, only 2, but that being said, still got a lot to talk about, so let's not waste some time. Let's just get right into it. But first, I do have to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, JumpShotTrainer.com. If you're looking for a better way to perfect your jump shot, then look no further than JumpShotTrainer.com, as their method is proven to increase your shooting accuracy by eliminating any resistance from your offhand. You can learn more though by visiting the links in the description box below. And to start off this video, the Houston Rockets, heading into their game against the Miami Heat last night, were finally starting to figure it out. They're finally starting to look closer to the team that we were seeing last year. They're above 500 on the year again, and we're on a 5-game winning streak. James Harden was playing terrific. Chris Paul was healthy. What else could you ask for? Houston fans were finally beginning to feel like the horrendous start that they had gotten off to in the season was finally over. And then, like clockwork, in their game against the Miami Heat last night, Houston Rockets starting point guard Chris Paul goes down with one of his annual hamstring injuries.
Get it to go, and here comes Chris Paul to win it. Goes right on his tail, and Paul loses the ball, holding onto his leg, and that hamstring has just been pulled again. And they finally get it down. Richardson hobbling to the sideline and immediately sitting down was Chris Paul. That is not a good sign.
And I say annual hamstring injuries because for as long as I can remember, Chris Paul goes down with at least one of these every season. And in the playoffs, it also happens every single time. Right when the team he's on might be on the verge of making it as far as they've ever been. Last year, they were on the verge of making the NBA Finals. And what do you know? Like clockwork, Chris Paul goes down with a hamstring injury. I mean, it's to the point now where hamstring injuries don't even bother Chris Paul anymore. Most players, when you see them go down with an injury like this and it's their first time, they're in a lot of pain. Where Chris Paul, he just seemed like he was used to it. Walked straight to the locker room because he already knew what the deal was. And so did the Houston Rockets, as they knew right after this game that Chris Paul would be out for an extended period of time. As when Mike D'Antoni was asked for a status update on the Chris Paul injury, he simply said that it will be some time before Chris Paul is back in action. And this is just bad news central for the Houston Rockets right now because they're in the Western Conference. Right now, the race for a spot in the playoffs in the Western Conference is closer than I think it may have ever been. As of right now, after losing to the Heat last night, Houston is barely holding on to the 8th seed out west with a 16-15 record, the same record that both the 9th seeded Grizzlies and the 10th seeded Sacramento Kings share as well. And not only that, the Dallas Mavericks, Utah Jazz, and New Orleans Pelicans are right there waiting for any one of those teams just to slip up a little bit so they can take their spot. It's that close of a race in the Western Conference right now. And if Chris Paul is forced to miss a couple of months with a hamstring injury, that could easily become the difference between the Rockets missing and making the playoffs this year. So that sucks. And then you remember that Houston is paying Chris Paul nearly $40 million a year up until the time when he will be 38 years old, and is like, dang. Maybe Houston better be thankful that the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't accept their offer of 4 future first-round draft picks for Jimmy Butler, because if that was the case, the Houston Rockets very well could have ended up becoming the next Brooklyn Nets. Next up in the news though, small market teams aren't too happy with the NBA right now. They're becoming pretty upset with how lax the NBA is in enforcing its no tampering rule, with larger market teams constantly looking for ways to swoop in and take the franchise player from a smaller market team, and once again the NBA not really doing anything about it. And what has small market teams so upset right now is LeBron James. On the show a couple of days ago, we talked about how LeBron James pretty much openly recruited Anthony Davis to the Los Angeles Lakers, saying that it would be great if the Los Angeles Lakers traded for Anthony Davis, and he thinks it would be awesome to play alongside Anthony Davis on the Los Angeles Lakers. And smaller market GMs and executives are pointing out that what LeBron James did and has been doing throughout his entire career is clearly a violation of the NBA bylaws that state any player who directly or indirectly entices, induces, persuades any player, coach, trainer, general manager, or any other person who's under contract to any other member of the association to enter into negotiations for or relating to his services shall, on being charged with such tampering, should be given an opportunity to answer to such charges after due notice, and the commissioner shall have the power to decide whether or not the charges have been sustained. And in regular English, that means a player player may not contact another player or anyone else under contract with another team about playing with them. Basically, players can't recruit other players. And LeBron James saying that he would like to play alongside Anthony Davis and it would be cool if the Lakers traded for Anthony Davis. That is very, very indirect recruitment. And like I said, smaller market teams are fed up with this, as according to reports, several NBA general managers have reached out to the New Orleans Pelicans GM Dell Demps to express dismay over all the Anthony Davis trade talks. And we've even gotten some direct quotes from some NBA general managers, who remain to be anonymous by the way, talking about the situation, with one of them saying it's a New Orleans problem today and it'll be a problem with a different player tomorrow for the rest of us. It's open season on small markets and our players. And another GM who seemed even more upset with LeBron James about all of this had this to say: those are the rules, enforce them. If you want to push Anthony Davis in LA, if you allow LeBron to interview with teams, then just do it. Change the rules and say it's the wild, wild west and anything goes. But give us a list of rules that you're enforcing and give us a list of rules that you're going to ignore. So the small market teams want the high profile players such as LeBron James to be held to the same rules that they're held to. The NBA bylaws say that players can also be fined for tampering, and what LeBron James did and said about Anthony Davis is clearly tampering. So why is it that when he does it, the league just turns a different way? For example, teams in the past have gotten hit for tampering for doing a lot less. Even the Los Angeles Lakers, they got hit with it twice last year. One was for Paul George, which they probably did deserve there, and another one was for Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the Giannis one was such a light form of tampering, if it was tampering at all, as Magic Johnson simply said that Giannis is a great player and he's going to win a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks, and that got him fined for tampering $50,000, where LeBron James says, "No, I would love if Anthony Davis was on the Lakers," and nothing, when that's clearly a much more severe form of tampering. What I find most interesting about this though is how all of the other teams were reaching out to the New Orleans Pelicans and their GM offering their quote-unquote support for them and their situation. Now, while I do believe that they are upset because this has probably happened to some of them too, what you also have to understand is the NBA is still a business, and all the executives, general managers, team presidents, those are all businessmen. For the most part, a lot of them are very, very good businessmen. And part of being good at business is being good at building relationships and feeding into healthy relationships. And those relationships are more just like connections of people who have things that can help you out. For example, the New Orleans Pelicans have Anthony Davis. A lot of GMs will love to get their hands on Anthony Davis, so they're trying to be all buddy-buddy with the New Orleans Pelicans. So if the time does come and the Pelicans realize that they have to trade Anthony Davis, all of these smaller market GMs that have become close to the New Orleans Pelicans and their general manager can go to him and say, "Look, New Orleans, we're all the small market teams. We gotta stick together. Now's your chance to show Boston and show LA that they can't just have whoever they want. Trade us, Anthony Davis, and stick it to the man." I'm willing to bet everything that that's exactly what they're doing. The same people who are calling up the Pelicans to show their support for their Anthony Davis situation are going to be some of the same people who called the Pelicans trying to trade for Anthony Davis when that time comes. Next up though, I think we have a pretty good idea of a team that Zion Williamson would really like to play for: the New York Knicks. As after Zion Williamson played his first ever game in the Madison Square Garden yesterday in Duke's 69-58 win over Texas Tech, Zion Williamson talked about the very real possibility of himself being drafted by the New York Knicks this coming June, and this is what he had to say. 41 games at the Garden. I mean, it will probably be incredible. This is the Garden. A lot of greats have come through here. My favorite great to come through here is probably Bernard King, because my stepdad talked about him a lot, how he just put the ball in the basket. I had to go watch his highlights. He could really score the ball. He was incredible how he did it. Playing 41 games here wouldn't be so bad. And then all New York Knicks fans began to rejoice. But it's still way too early to be excited about the possibility of Zion Williamson becoming a New York Knick just yet, as he also did go on to say that he doesn't care where he gets drafted and he's just excited about the idea of playing in the NBA next season in general. And lastly for the day is just something that I think caught me off guard, yet at the same time explains so much. As Buddy Hield, who has been having a terrific breakout season for the Sacramento Kings this year and will for sure at least be a nominee for the Most Improved Player of the Year award, as he is averaging a highly efficient 20 points and 5 rebounds per game so far this year. Anyways, what I was so surprised to find out about him is that we really didn't know how old he was up until yesterday. See, the NBA had him listed as just turning 25 years old, when in reality, Buddy Hield says that he's 26. I came over with a passport. My passport has 1992 on it. My driver's license has 1992 on it. I just think people got the information from Wikipedia or wherever, and they just went with it but they got it wrong. And this is strange because I just thought at some point when a player originally declares to the draft that the NBA would add to see some type of documentation that would have their birthday on it, whether that be a birth certificate, driver's license, passport, something that has a birthday on it, and they would have caught that Buddy Hield was born in 1992 and not 1993, but I guess not. As for what this explains, well, it kind of does explain why he's been so good this year, or at least part of why he's been so good this year, since around the age 26 is when players start to enter their prime and play their best basketball. And that's about gonna do it for everything that we had to talk about today. Here's a look at your updated standings. Really hasn't changed much, if at all, from yesterday, considering there are only 2 games last night. That being said though, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, why not subscribe to the channel with post notifications turned on so you can stay up to date with everything that's going on in the NBA. Thank you once again for watching. You guys already know that you are the real MVPs, and until Monday, I am out of here. Peace!